Hey, welcome to BRJ. Welcome to BRJA's 13th for the month event. This is December the 13th, 2022. We are happy to be here this month and see you all. Dana, go to the next slide. Let's give you some. Yes. And so take a few moments to go ahead and get settled. Grab a snack, make sure you have your cable cord close by for your charger for your phone or for your laptop. We're going to go ahead and start. We usually ask that you have a pen and paper ready. We usually have some good resources for you to put down or ask you to do some journaling. So if you do not have that already, please grab that. That's whether you're with us live right now or if you're watching via YouTube at the posting, have some pen and paper close by. Also, in addition to you having your cable cord close by, we ask that if you are here with us right now in real time on Zoom, you can turn your video on, but please remember to have yourself muted. We'll have a point in which we have a Q&A section where we ask all participants. You can throw questions into the chat, or you can throw those comments into the chat. And if you want to actually speak, there will be a point in which you can come off mute. But we ask that you stay muted so we can hear all the panelists well. And again, as we're doing this, if there are thoughts or ideas or questions that you have, feel free to plop those into the chat and we'll get to those in the Q&A. This is a learning space. This is part of our learning community, one of our learning community spaces. And so with that, we ask that you come and ready to participate, not as a webinar that you just kind of watch and hear in the background, but we ask that you actually participate, ready to have engaging questions, to think thoughtfully about what it is that we're talking about. And so please just come in with a mind of curiosity and a mind ready to do some learning. And asking you to save the date. We do this 13th of the month event each month. January 13th is going to be on the Black Cell, which is Wendy Shaya's book. It's a discussion with the author, and that's going to be on January 13th on a Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And so ask that you be here for that. And you can sign up on our mailing list to learn about 13th events. What topic is going to be for which month. Again, this is going to be next month, and we hope to see you all there. Oh, last month's event, we were talking about, it was around close to Thanksgiving time. So we thought it would be a good time to have a conversation about talking about racism and anti-Blackness. And so hopefully some of you all who were there for that or got to see that recording, got to use some of those tips that we shared at that event. If you were not able to see that, it is available on YouTube. You can scan this QR code right now that'll take you directly to the video on YouTube. It was a pretty good event. And so I encourage you to check that out and other previous BRJA 13th events. They're loaded onto our YouTube channel. BRJA, we've been around since 2003. And one of the first programs that we started offering publicly were these 13th events. And so we are a program of Fusion Partnerships. And so with that, we ask, you can go ahead to the next slide, Dana. With that, we also ask that you consider making a contribution to us so we are able to continue to do these events. In addition to our 13th events, we also have short takes. They take place on IG Live once a month. So if you're not already, please look for us on our Instagram to be part of those conversations. That's where we are dissecting things in the news and in the mainstream through a racial equity lens. And then there is our consulting work and our executive coaching, assessment, and workshops that we do with clients. This is our private client work. If you are part of an institution that is looking to do anti-racist, anti-oppression work, you can visit us at Be More Anti-Racist to learn more about that. And there is a questionnaire if you feel like, hey, I want to set up a meeting, you can fill that out on our website. And then again, here's our social media. Again, there is our YouTube that houses all our 13th events and some of our short takes. Facebook is probably the social media page that is the place that houses client stuff, public stuff. So that is good if you're not already following us on Facebook to go there. You can use that QR code to access that. And then, like I suggested, our 13th, our IG lives happen on our Instagram. That's at Be More Anti-Racist. And then we are also on Twitter. So those are all of our social media handles. We know everybody is not on everything, but whichever one is your pleasure, please find us there, and we'd be happy to engage with you that way as well. And yes, as I said, you can make a contribution, a one-time contribution, or become a monthly sustainer. We are doing what is called Fundraising Fridays right now. So far, we've raised $20,311, and we're trying to reach our goal of $23,000. We are very, very close. And so you can scan this QR code to make a donation to help us reach our goal. We are almost at the finish line, so help us cross that. All right, and now I'm going to pass it over to Julia.
Yes, thank you, Anthony. I know how many slides those are, but we want to make sure that folks know about our organization, Baltimore Racial Justice Action. And so I want to welcome everyone. My name is Julia Scott, and I am going to be leading our conversation today for our December 13th event. This is the last one of the year, and we are talking Black in Business, the State of Black Entrepreneurship. This is one that is going to be, I think, really interesting, especially considering we're in the holiday season. People are buying things, people are supporting businesses. They're trying to make sure that they are shopping local if possible. And so if anything, we want to make sure we're having a conversation around what does it mean to be a Black entrepreneur? What does it mean to have a Black business? So let's get started really quickly. So for today's agenda, we just had Anthony do a welcome and an overview of BRJA, what we're about, our history and our background. And so we've done that. But I do want to get into like why we're here in a bit, so a little bit about our background, about the event background. I'm going into our actual panel members and having a discussion with them. And then if there are any questions, we will go there. And I'm really excited to start about why we are actually here today. You can go to the next slide, Dana. So if you are familiar with BRJA, especially before the wonderful thing that is known as COVID, you might have actually attended one of our December events, which was usually our Black Business Bazaar. And so it was a time and opportunity for our organization not to just like have events where we're talking about, racism, talking about oppression, and, kind of really getting into the nuances of how oppression impacts us daily. This also gave us the opportunity, this Black Business Bazaar gave us the opportunity to support local businesses and to, I think, come together and have fun and spend money at the end of the year and get ready for the holiday. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we have not been able to have that since 2020. Obviously, it's very difficult to social distance when you have a really fun kind of hopping party / business support, kind of going on. However, over the last couple of years, we have been kind of talking about how can we talk about Black businesses and support Black businesses in a virtual space. And so we decided that for this year, we were going to actually kind of take the plunge and talk about what does it mean to be a Black business owner. One of the things that we know, just to kind of give some more subtext to why Black businesses are important in general, we know that in order, owning your own business in the United States is one of the best ways, as they say, to build wealth. And it's not the only way, but one of the best ways. And according to the Alliance on Entrepreneurial Equity, only 2% of the businesses in the U.S. are actually Black owned. And so that is something that we should be focusing on. We're talking about how can us as a community, how can we support our businesses, how can we support our communities, how can we make sure that people are having jobs. And this is something that we see is happening. And so the Federal Reserve's 2019 survey of consumer finances, they have shared that Black households make up almost 16% of the U.S. population, but hold only 3% of the overall wealth. So when you're looking at these numbers, especially in contrast, as I have here, to the white households that nearly hold 87% of wealth, but only represent 68% of the population, you were starting to see an issue with who is allowed to own a business, who's allowed to run a business, who gets support to run a business. And it's not just because Black people aren't entrepreneurial. We know that that is not true. We know that a lot of us, have wonderful ideas and ways to support our community that our community needs. And so things like systemic racism and lack of funding and support has made it harder for Black-owned businesses to really exist and to thrive. Sometimes it's not hard for them to get started, but it's hard for them to actually continue because of the lack of support. And so during the COVID pandemic, this only continued because Black businesses saw an issue getting access to actual government relief that a lot of other businesses were actually saying, hey, well, I need the support in order to keep kind of living and my business to thrive. So if you're thinking about this, as a layered issue, you already have a problem with Black business owners and entrepreneurs wanting to get, access to loans. That's already a hurdle. It's a hurdle even in a situation like a pandemic for government relief, for them to get access to that. That's a hurdle. And then you have these other kind of, racism, like a funding and support. All of that makes it difficult for our businesses to support, to actually thrive and be supported. And so we really want to think about how do we actually increase opportunities around Black business ownership? How do we increase the fact that, we want more people to actually have businesses? We know that they actually improve Black community, and they increase opportunities for jobs and community, in all sorts of places. So, let's try our next slide. We have some wonderful folks here that we want to actually introduce. One person, Nia, is not actually able to be here, but she is the owner of Bourbon and Chocolate. But first I want to introduce Jacqui Cummings. She is in charge of Black Wall Street of Baltimore, and she's going to be sharing a bit about her background and what she's doing in Baltimore City. We have LaKisha Overton, who is in charge of LaCentric Jewelry and Accessories. And then Nikia Vaughn, who is in charge of NKVSKIN. So I want to thank you ladies for joining me on this lovely December Tuesday as we talk more about Black businesses. We're going to have hopefully just a nice, rich conversation, and then we'll hopefully get a chance to promote some of the work that you all are doing in your business, and hopefully people will support. So I'm going to ask, before we even get to the panel questions, the list, if each of you could introduce yourselves and how you actually got into the business that you're doing.
Okay, my name is Jacqui Cummings, and I am the founder of Notre Maison Connects, which is a nonprofit organization working with and supporting, encouraging, and empowering youth 18 to 21 years old. We work with them, we teach them financial literacy. They get certified with CPR, first aid certification. We pay for them to go to driver's ed. We teach them about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and day trading. We work with them and connect them to other business so that they become more employable. I am also the owner of Executive Suites at Notre Maison. Notre Maison is French for our house. And in our house, we have 31 Black-owned businesses that lease commercial office space from us. And the offices and the businesses vary. Yes, so, and you asked me another question. What was the other question?
Oh, just like, how you got started and what really, I think, maybe pushed you to kind of say, this is what I'm going to do. But yeah.
So when I was a young girl growing up, my mom told me, she said, when you buy your first house, you want to live in part and you want to rent the other part. So she instilled entrepreneurial real estate values in that as a child growing up. And then I just kept my credit good. and open the door and open my mind for opportunities so that whatever comes my way, I wanted to be prepared. I wanted to be available and I wanted to be ready. And so I kept my creative mind flowing and open and just took advantages of opportunities like great sales on commercial property to come my way. And then once these opportunities came my way, I just moved into it from there. The first business was Notre Maison Tea House, where we did open mic and poetry for 14 years. And because I owned that property, when the double building beside it became available, I took advantage of that opportunity. I purchased it on a private sale. And then that allowed me to be able to open the doors for 14 businesses to come in and lease space. And then I repurposed my tea house business and to provide more commercial space. And then I purchased another building on the same block to provide even more commercial space and also to open the doors for our youth and our nonprofit organization to become employed.
Awesome. Thank you. That's a really unique and interesting history. Nikia, I'm going to ask you to go next.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for having me be a part of this wonderful panel this evening. My name again is Nikia K. Vaughn. I am the owner and creator of NKVSKIN. I'm a licensed esthetician and a formulator of my own skincare products, as well as a sickle cell advocate. The reason why I started NKVSKIN was for my advocacy of sickle cell disease. My daughter and my husband both have sickle cell disease. And when my daughter was a student in public school, she became sick, and we needed to place her in a smaller environment where there would be, smaller staff, and the nurses would be more attentive to her sickle cell. And so I was thinking of creative ways to bring in, additional income, tangible. And my friends and family would always ask me at the time, how did I keep my skin looking so youthful after the age of 40? And I was always into skincare. And so I formulated my first bottle of NKVSKIN facial oil, becoming certified in natural skincare. That was 4 years ago. So NKVSKIN, my products, are 4 years old. And I was working at a well-known institution as the sickle cell coordinator for adult sickle cell disease. And when the pandemic hit, the grants were just ending. And I woke up one morning and told my husband, hey, I think I'm gonna go to esthetician school at the age of 44. And so I did that, went to one of the greatest renowned esthetician schools, Aveda, graduated top of my class, became a licensed esthetician, and then was advised about the Boost program by the Downtown Partnership of Baltimore. I was very leery, never thought of having a brick and mortar. However, with my advocacy and being in the community, that pushed my application to the top. And last year, I was one of the inaugural Boost winners with Shalanda's group, Black owned and operated storefront tenancy, and I opened my doors on Charles Street this past May.
Awesome. Such awesome stories. Also, just like I'm also a skincare fan. Obviously not as world-renowned as you, but I think that's such a beautiful thing to have your passion pushed that way. That's great. LaKisha, tell us about LaCentric yourself and LaCentric Jewelry and Accessories.
Hi, everybody. My name is LaKisha Overton. I'm sorry. I think my neighbors are walking hard above me, so you might hear some squeaking. My name is LaKisha Overton. I'm the owner of LaCentric Jewelry and Accessories. And everybody's story sounds so organic, and so I don't really have, I don't wear much makeup. and jewelry has always been my passion. And I've always loved handmade jewelry. And around 2019, the fall of 2019, I could not find the gentleman in the Patapsco flea market that sold all the beautiful handmade African jewelry and accessories. And I decided to do some research and start my own Afrocentric handmade jewelry and accessories business. So I basically acquire pieces from different African countries, mostly Kenya and Ghana, and pieces from India. And I resell them at a very, how can I say, cheap, of course, cheaper prices. And what has come out of LaCentric Jewelry and Accessories, since I've started doing that, I've gotten into hosting different types of events. So sometimes I do pop-ups, different places. I just created a jewelry making wellness package. I don't want to say package, but I just started doing jewelry making wellness workshops. And I started doing them through the Black Arts District, if I'm saying it right. I got a grant through them to do my first one, and I hopefully will be doing more in 2023. I'm going to try to start doing events to help other small business owners doing mixers, sharing with them information about promoting themselves at pop-ups, promoting themselves on social media, I guess marketing, promoting. There are a few people that have crossed my path doing this that are also going to be involved when I do the events for small business owners. So there's a couple of things. I'm not that great talking, whether it's Zoom or in person sometimes. So that's the gist. You guys can see me or find me on Instagram under LaCentric Jewelry. And you can also find me on Facebook. And I'm probably I'm leaving out a whole lot of stuff, but just look out.
You are totally fine.
Thank you. Look out for more from me in 2023. I disappeared. Can you guys hear me?
We can see you.
Okay. Okay.
We can hear you and see you.
Okay. So
you did a great job, first of all. So don't even count yourself out.
Thank you. But I appreciate the opportunity to share and meet all of you during our Black business journeys, because it's interesting. It's definitely a journey. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing I wanted to actually talk to you all about. I mean, and it's awesome that we have all women here, which is another, I think, point, just kind of doing research. When we were kind of talking about this event, we had kind of mentioned there's been an uptick in Black women owning businesses. I think that obviously all of us in the Black community, no matter what our identity actually is, a lot of us have like an idea or something that we love or a passion that we think kind of in the back of our minds could be like, I could actually, build something off of this. But I always say that people who own businesses, there is a level of risk involved. There's certainly, there has to be a certain amount of determination actually to do that. And so just kind of hearing you all's different stories, I think kind of really shows, just like one of you said, I usually buy this. I can't find the person anymore. I can provide a need. Let me do it. Or like, I'm trying to support my family and, try to advocate for my family in the community. And I'm going to start an organization. And, I think that those are all things that are really important. But I do want to know, why do you all think there's a lot more women who are getting involved, Black women particularly, getting involved in business, especially after this, like during this pandemic that we've had?
I'll take that. When we had our pre-panel discussion, I remember when Jacqui was speaking, and I feel the same. I think that by nature, women are nurturers. And, when we think of an idea and we want it to flourish, it's because of something, right? So we just heard, LaKisha, am I saying that right? LaKisha? She couldn't find the gentleman who couldn't do the jewelry anymore. So she took it upon herself to create her own. And then, we needed housing for other Black businesses to flourish. And for myself, it was just really organic because I needed to get some residual income to have some, better opportunities for my daughter. And so I feel like as a woman, you know, we're intuitive and we just take those opportunities and we're able to build them up and to develop them into ideas. And these ideas turn into income and being able to support our family and build something for our families for longevity. Because of course, you know, I have a son and a daughter, and this is all, you know, building for them, you know. And so I think that just because I feel like we have those nurturing spirits and we are able to nurture something, you know, as being mothers and wives, sisters, daughters, that we can just naturally take that and churn it into something that the gift that we have, and turn it into something profitable.
Absolutely. Thank you. I think that's very, very true. Anybody else want to share their thoughts?
I guess I'll say that I'm 49 and I started a family young. And I realized that I immediately went to being a mom and a wife, and forgot about all the creative, I guess my creative spirit, all the things I used to know how to do before I became a mom and wife. So when the pandemic hit again, and when I realized I don't have access to my jewelry anymore, the person that I could buy jewelry from, all that just, when I started the mission, it all just started coming out. I remembered what I used to know how to do. I remembered that I can make jewelry a little bit. I remember that I like styling. I remember just a lot of things that I'll just keep saying the creative spirit that was in me that I totally forgot about. So that was one of the reasons what made me get out there as a female, because I know there are a lot of other moms, wives, partners that the same thing. And maybe that might be why there are a lot of women entrepreneurs. You know, we put our dreams or whatever, our goals to the side, you know, to help our significant others, partners, kids, whomever.
Absolutely.
That's such an interesting thing. I think that's a really important part, like the nurturing, right? That like, and part of a business is about nurturing. It is about, you know, kind of cultivating community and nurturing clientele and relationships, and then leveraging those relationships in order to grow. Jacqui, I saw that you came off mute. Did you want to add anything?
Yes. One thing I noticed is that the women that I lease to or that come to me, they're about business. They do not play. They are hustlers. They have families to take care of. They have bills to take care of. They come in strong. They come in powerful. Some of them come in prepared, like they have some business sense, but some of them don't. And actually, I love it when they come to me because they trust that I can help them. And I connect them to my accountant and tell them, you know, like, okay, I see your drive, I see your hustle. You need to get your business license. You need to get your business bank account. You need to set these things up in place. And women, we have found to be easy to talk to and willing to open and listen and learn. And they're just ready to grow. And they're hard workers. We are resilient and we are hard workers. We are determined and we want the best, period. Our youngest is 19 years old, a little girl, braiding hair. She's 19 years old and she makes sure she pays her rent on time, and she makes a name for herself.
And sometimes with BRJA, we'll do like little clips and we'll like share it on our Instagram. And I feel like, Jacqui, you just shared like a really nice clip that we could use. Because absolutely, I think that that's really what I see with the women in my community, whether they be in my family, whether they're business owners or not, but just like that drive to do well and to provide and to nurture other relationships and to bring other women with them and other people with them to make sure they can also follow their dreams. A lot of you have talked about the journey, like, and how it has definitely been a journey, just like hearing whether it be someone in your family got sick, or you noticed one thing, you try to do, provide a service. What are some of the highs and lows of you all starting and kind of maintaining your own business?
Well, for me, when I purchased my first building, and I don't mind sharing this story because I hope it is powerful to let women know, everything doesn't have to be already done. It's okay to go in and learn how to do things. So when I started my first business, I purchased the building for $20,000 on 25th Street. And I was one of the only Black-owned businesses there. I put in $50,000 immediately because I had recently sold another property that I paid $30,000 for, and I sold for $210,000 or $220,000. So once I purchased the second building for $20,000, put $50,000 into it, I started learning how to do carpentry and construction myself because I did not have the money to pay somebody to do it. And I felt like I'm not going to pay somebody $400 to paint a room and I could buy a can of paint for $35 and paint the room myself. And that's how I felt. So I went on YouTube and started just learning how to do things. I wanted to put up crown molding and somebody told me they were going to come and put up my crown molding and they didn't. And I got so frustrated. My daughter was like, here, Ma, gave me the YouTube, gave me her iPad and said, just look it up yourself. I said, I'm serious and you're playing games and I'm serious. and I looked it up. She just didn't even argue. She didn't back talk. She didn't do anything. She just pulled up some how do you install crown molding and she gave it to me. She said, here, my love. And she gave it to me and I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. And I went downstairs to my workshop because I have an awesome tool collection. Some sisters have awesome soap collection and perfume collection. And I have an awesome shoe collection and I have an awesome tool collection. And so I went to my tool shop, pulled out my miter saw and it put on a 45-degree angle, held the crown mold in a certain kind of way, sliced it at a 45-degree angle, and I was good to go. But it was a process. And then from there, I purchased building 14 and 16, which is a double building. It's a joint building. And I was supposed to get an acquisition and rehab loan, but they wanted to keep my house as collateral. And I said, no. So then I said, I'm gonna do unconventional, I'm gonna go hard money. And so I went hard money and the company said, okay, we'll give you a chance. They took my $7,000 and they did not give me a chance. And then they denied the loan. So now I'm short $7,000 and I don't have the money to do the acquisition and the rehab. So now where am I going to get this $7,000 back? And who's going to give me a loan to get this property? So like my grandmother, like my mother, I started praying again. Lord, you didn't bring me this far to let me go. So I purchased the building, but it needed $50,000 worth of work. So where am I going to get that work, that money? So I went to another friend of mine who owned a lot of properties in the city, and he sent me to his money guy. Now his money guy looked at my bank account and I had $3,000 in it. He came and he looked at my building and he went to my friend and he told my friend, he didn't tell me. He went to a friend of mine and told me, he said, man, she did and she don't even know it. That's what he said. And so my friend would come and he would call me. He never offered me a dime, but he would call me and he would say, Jag, oh, Jag. I said, what? I said, look, don't listen to your friend. And he told me what the friend said. I said, don't listen to your friend. My father is rich. My biological father and I were extremely close. And he knew that my dad had recently passed. I said, my Heavenly Father is rich. I ain't worried about it. I'm gonna be fine. And a year and a half later, with a lot of sweat equity and $36,000 every dime, no more shoe shopping, no more, tool buying, no more, I could buy tools, but it had to be to fix the project. I was able to refinance the building for $125,000 over what I paid for it. And fix up one office at a time. I fix up an office, I close the door and rent it out. Fix up an office, close the door, rent it out. Fix up another office, close the door, rent it out. And because the buildings are currently 122 years old, there were sometimes problems that arose that I was not prepared for, but I got through them. I can't hear you.
Oh, I was gonna say, I can only imagine, because I was listening, I was just like, see, this is what I was talking about, Jacqui, when I said the risk, because I would have been like, my friend, I would have been like, you know what, that is fine, I will find something else. Like, I really cannot overstate like how difficult that sounds, but like how the spirit and the perseverance there is just really, really amazing. I think that is something we can all certainly learn from. Did anybody else want to share their story or like their, because the toolbox thing, I knew I was done with the toolbox because I was like, I'm not doing that. Just to be honest. Did anybody else want to share like what their kind of highs and lows have been with their own kind of like starting?
At least, I'm sorry, go ahead, Nikia.
No, go ahead, LaKisha.
Just learning about the paperwork part, the tax stuff, I'm in the process in 2023. I don't want to say not rebranding, but I'm going to do some things a different way. But that's one of the things, like we need to share out. When I say share the wealth, share information. That's why I want to go ahead and start doing small business owners mixers, to share information, the paperwork, the how you can have your LLC, your doing business as, and like all those little things like that. Those are things that was a struggle in my journey. Yeah.
And I'll just join in on that, LaKisha. I'm actually starting something similar for women of color in the beauty industry, because we are very minuscule in the beauty industry, women of color. So, especially I'm starting out at an older age. Like, I always look to Vera Wang because she didn't design her first wedding dress until she was 40. And I started my, my skincare line at 40, it's also at the age of 42. And so, I didn't know, just like you said, LaKisha, like, you want to have a business, but, in Peter Franchise, Maryland, you can't be playing around with those taxes, those annual reports. I know Jacqui knows all about it, and it's no joke. And so people really don't know. When I came into this, I was like, I'm just going to have a little website, put these little bottles on here, and it is bigger than that. It's much bigger than that. Business licenses, even building out my storefront. I did. I cried every other day when it came to permit pulling and, all of these things, fire inspectors, but, because, I feel like I was blessed because I was, really connected, like being a city night. I'm going to throw that out there, being a city night, I had a lot of people and friends, or, would help me out. And then, however, some people just starting out in a business may not have those resources. So it's very important that when you are blessed with the things that were dropped off to you, that you're able to spread it and not to be selfish, because when you do spread that information to others, then your blessings will continue to overflow, and you will continue to get the things that you may not even deserve. And as in my case, I say it all the time. So yes, I agree. And just having those things that we don't know about, that we need to sustain a business, just little things. I think that those things that we're able to overcome, that we should be able to put them back. And so that's the same thing with me, being able to overcome all of those little things and have a successful now brick and mortar.
Yeah, brick and mortars are hard.
Awesome.
I mean, they're not hard, but I don't want to say it's a little bit more challenging. Yeah, Jacqui and Nikia, I've heard it's a little bit more challenging. I have a friend who's allowing me to kind of be in the background while he's opening up something that's, I guess you could say, a brick and mortar, and it's a lot. It's a lot. It's what you just shared, Jacqui. It's you know, nobody probably told you, make sure you get that building inspector's business card so that when you get your next property, you know, that's somebody that you know, or you can right, exactly, cell number. Like those are little things, like the fire code dude, the inspector dude, like all those are little things people don't tell you. You don't know until you experience it. You don't know until you experience it.
This is very true.
I do so. Oh, go ahead, Jacqui.
It's very true. And it's been a learning process for me. It really has. And I'm so thankful. I have an amazing accountant. My accountant, I call him my www.herb.com because I can tell him anything. I say, Herb, this came in the mail. What am I supposed to do with this? He'll say, don't worry about it. I'll shoot him a picture of it and he'll take care of it. Sometimes people say, hey, Jack, 2 people asked me today, Jack, I'm thinking about starting a nonprofit. What's my first step? And in my mind, I'm like, you better talk to Herb because I'm not sure. But it's some things that I can tell people about, and some things like the nonprofit. It's Notre Maison Connects. It's Our House Connects. So if I can't tell you how to do it myself, then I can lead you to people who can. And for the building, when I first purchased the building, and I spent all of my money on acquiring the building and only had $3,000 to do $50,000 worth of work, I said, this is my new husband, because I had divorced my husband. And so I was still a single person. And I said, this is my husband. I want to spend every dime in my husband. My husband is sick right now. I want to make him stronger. I want to feed him. I want to make him healthy. I'm going to make him nice and beautiful and just awesome. And I'm going to fill him with love and joy and joyful businesses and lovely people. So I only allowed a certain amount of energy in there. And even though I did not have that much money, I still only allowed, it was like the old Odell saying, you know if you belong. There you go. So you knew if you came in, whether you belonged or not. And some people came in and even though I was broke, I had to say, no, I'm sorry, it won't be a good fit. Because my husband needed to be healthy and strong and happy, full of good energy, because I knew when he was good, he was going to take such good care of me. And that's what I believe in.
I like that analogy.
So I want to actually I love the analogy, because I was like, oh, a husband. I was like, oh, okay. I love it. But I do want to ask, because Jacqui, one of the things that you do through your organization is the Black Wall Street of Baltimore. And, just based off of what you said, there's an emphasis on community. And then hearing things like from Nikia and LaKisha about, hey, I'm doing this, I've learned so much, and I'm going to try to cultivate, not just, of course, creating my own space, but I'm going to make sure that other people are educated about the paperwork, about what does it mean, to start a brick and mortar. Like LaKisha, you saying that your friend, you're like, well, I'm not sure how it works, but my friend has the kind of shadowing, essentially, and you kind of like see what this looks like. Why do you think? I think in the Black community, we talk about ways of, supporting and building together. There's an emphasis on community. Why do you think community is important in business, especially in leveraging power in the Black community?
I think it's no need to recreate the wheel, and people here, I often hear people say it's crabs. Baltimore's like crabs in a barrel. I don't know what kind of pot y'all in. I don't know what kind of barrel you in, but I'm not in that barrel. I'm not in that pot, because if the crabs that I see are in the pot and we in the pot, We climbing on each other to get up, but then we reaching down and pulling each other out too. Like I allow people in my building who have bad credit. I don't care if your credit is bad. Show me that you can pay the rent right now. Show me, because that happened on your credit report. Yes, we pull a credit report. Yes, we see where you are. Yes, we ask to see your bank account, because if you don't have money, then you can't pay your rent. But if your credit is bad, that happened 15 years ago, baby. I'm not worried about that. You're making efforts. And not only am I not worried about that, I'm gonna tell you, this is on your credit report. Get this off so you can lift your credit, so you can better your credit, so you can improve your credit. I had one young lady, her credit scores was in a 5. She had 4 bills on her credit report, and they were 2 $400 some credit bills and 2 $600 and some bills. I said, girl, you make that in a week. Pay that off and raise your credit score. So it's about educating people and giving them the information and saying you can do this, encourage and empower. And sometimes people come in there and they're full of energy and they're driving it and they're very motivated. And then when they look at the application or see the requested information, they get afraid. And I'm like, don't worry about that. We can talk about that. LaKisha, we can talk about that. If you want to get a store, come on, girl. Come on, okay. I help you open the store. You know what I'm saying? And in our building, it's like you pay rent. I don't bump you over the head for gas and electric. I don't bump you over the head. I don't say this is your rent, and then later after you sign the lease, say, oh, well, you need to contribute to the gas and electric. You need to pay part of the taxes. You need to pay part of the water bill. And then you need to pay a maintenance fee on top of all of that. I don't do any of that. Your rent is your only bill for my building, unless you get cable or Wi-Fi or something like that. All of it goes into a pot and I disperse it to pay the bills. I'm not trying, I won't be rich. I won't be rich doing this, but hey, I'm gonna make a whole bunch of other folks happy and rich.
But I mean, you know what though? I was gonna say, like, richness it could be defined in multiple ways. So, maybe not like that. Yeah, like maybe not that kind of rich, but I think what you're actually describing, particularly in this country where you have a history of Black people being left out of conversations and networks, to build their own, to build business, to build communities like these. It's important for us, I think, to redefine what that richness and wealth actually is. Because if I'm able to go down the street and go to a Black business or people who look like me, and feel supported, as well as saying like, hey, well, I know someone else, I can send them to Jacqui. Or I know someone who needs something for an event, I can send them to LaKisha. Oh, I need to get my skin done, I can send them to Nikia. That is, I think, another level, another form of wealth that we don't always think about, and what we have in our community. LaKisha, I thought I'll cut you off for a minute. I'm so sorry. What were you going to say?
Oh, I can't remember. Don't worry about it. That's okay. I was just probably saying the same thing. Adding on. I was saying I'm going to get Jacqui's contact information after the Zoom.
Absolutely.
The key is also like we all need to work together. There's so many. Like I tried to give a pop-up event where I had all skincare. So I had things where people could get beard massages and hand massages, and everybody sold. There were vendors that sold skincare products. Like if I knew Nikia, I could have probably partnered with her, and I could have had it.
Yes, absolutely.
Right at Jacqui's building. Like there are
in my space. Yes, that's something else I'm working on in 2023. Having vendors just come and do pop-ups here because I have the space. So, without a fee, those vendor fees, I'm, gonna not have vendor fees, and maybe on Saturdays we do highlight small businesses. And so that's kind of what community looks like for me. Just to go on that, a community is a tad bit different for me because of my why, which is sickle cell. And so, my why is sickle cell. So what I do is every quarter, a portion of our proceeds benefit the sickle cell disease community, and I go and I I speak to, the sickle cell community, talk about the importance of having good skincare. So, me being able to educate them on that with my business is also very, fulfilling in my community. And so, it's so interesting. My daughter, she goes to LifeBridge Hematology Oncology, where she's been going since she was a baby. And every year we make the donation to the sickle cell patients, and they had a turnover. And so when I don't think that they probably didn't tell them about my family. So Simone has a little organization called Simone and Friends, and NKVSKIN funds it. So I was speaking to the new director, and I said, oh, I'll be there this week to come and make our yearly donations for the sickle cell patients who are inpatient. And she said to me, oh, is it just for the sickle cell patients? And I said, yes, it is. It's only for the sickle cell patients, because the sickle cell patients are truly underserved in every caveat, which affects mostly African Americans. And so, yes, we understand that you have the pediatric cancer, you have the oncology, but this donation is specifically for sickle cell disease, because, not only in the pediatrics are we underserved, but everywhere. We're the oldest genetic disease to date and the most underserved. The funding is horrible. We have patients who live right here in the city that live in food deserts that can't get richness of food for some folic acid. So absolutely, my donations are specifically, and I'm not really gentle about that. I just want to make sure that they know that our donations are specific. And again, we love everyone, but it's really hard for people to fund into what I'm building, so that my daughter can see, and my son, who has the trait, they know that mommy built this business on that. And when we give back, we love everyone and we're giving back, but we want to make sure that in any way that we can, anytime, to advocate for those who are living with sickle cell, that we are. And so I had to make it clear and let them know that this is what it is, and this is what we do, and this is what we stand for.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. The intentionality is so important. Yeah. Go ahead, Jacqui.
I was saying that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
One of our youth in our program has sickle cell. And one of the things that we do in our nonprofit organization is this year actually, it was June 21st. We did our first community blood drive with the American Red Cross.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. I'm very active with the Blue Tag program with the American Red Cross. That makes my heart smile, because, you have to push off in the community, the stereotypes of that. A lot of people of color don't want to donate for various reasons. Yes. So I definitely have to hook up with you all so we can all get together.
Yeah. Before, I know that Nikia has to leave in a bit for another event that I started to cut off. I wanted to ask one more question before we kind of maybe start to wrap things up. And that is, the connection, even like hearing you three speak, you're like, I'm doing this, and this is what this is. And like, oh, you can come over for this. Like, how can particularly people, especially, who are interested in creating, getting into these conversations, what are your recommendations about networking? How do you actually network, other than, of course, spaces and events like these? But what do you think is the best way for someone to go about that?
Ask, contact, reach out. That's it. You got to reach out and ask. Reach out and ask.
And be a part of different organizations. It's so important. Be a part of your Chamber of Commerce. And, by me winning this cohort, I was able to get a year of PR, and it paid off. I couldn't afford PR retainer $3,000 a month, but I was, so blessed. And by that, I was able to join other organizations, and be a part of the conversations, being able to, Westmore came to my store over the summer, and, just being a part of little organizations. And then when you talk and they're like, oh, wow, I've heard about you. You're so small. I'm like usually the shortest and the smallest. And then they're like, oh, you're Nikia. I've heard about you, So building relationships, won a rare disease award for my advocacy for, you know, the whole nation, and, you know, being in rooms with other people and just being able to pass my card around. And what we talked about before, when we had the pre-panel discussion, is that, you know, when you know, start to make yourself known and people understand, like, oh, wow, this is what can I do for you? You know, this is what you can do for me. This is what you can do for my community. Passing those cards out, letting them know, following up. You know, I met the Whiting and Turner president. You know, he's like the construction guru of Baltimore City. Like, remember me? I was at another event, a tech event. The president of the media, I spoke to him. He's like, yeah, you know, come use my space when you want to film. Come send your actors and actresses to come get facials. You have to make sure that you're in these spaces so that people can get to know you. And then you start getting referrals. You know, hopefully I'll become the new First Lady's esthetician, you know, because of my connection with Westmore. So those are the things that we have to do and build yourself up and not be small, because we're not small. We're big in stature. You know, we are big, and we have to let the communities know that we are here, right? Because Baltimore is we are a majority of we're the minority in a majority city, and that makes no sense.
That
makes
no sense. You better say it. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That is so true.
Right.
That is so true. And
I'm sorry, I was just getting
no, but you're so right.
You have an sermon. I was gonna let you finish.
I've seen I'm an implant, so I'm originally from New Jersey, so I've been here since the summer of '92. I've seen 25th and Charles. Okay. You know how many times I've seen 25th and Charles go through a whole resurgence? Too many times. Too many times. Charles, you know the area I'm talking about. So you're on 25th. So on Charles, before you get to 25th, before the Safeway, there were a couple of blocks that were all Black-owned businesses.
So that's the Black Wall Street. That's
where you're at. So you're not on 25th, you're on Charles. So where you're at, there needs to be a resurgence. So everything you're doing is all that. I mean, I remember where I can't think of the store right now, but there were 2 Black-owned stores that sold African jewelry. They were owned by men, and they were right in that area. Yeah, they were there in around late 90s. Maybe into 2000 or something like that, 2000, 2001.
So Sankofa was there.
That's it, Sankofa. It was on the tip of my tongue.
And Wazobia.
You got me excited. Yes,
and go in actually, Wazobia is still there. And I saw Kingsley, the owner.
Oh, I know Kingsley.
At the hat game.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said, Kingsley, he invited me to the store, and I was like, I thought you were closed. He said, no, not closed.
Oh, we need to we got to get it together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sorry, Nikia got to go.
Yes. Oh, Nikia, we'll get together. Let's get together.
Busy lady.
Yeah.
And you all will definitely have each other's email. I want to thank you, Nikia, for spending some time with us today. I'm going to make sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Please, I would love to connect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, everyone. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, all that good stuff.
Yes.
Thanks. And so as we're kind of winding down, I want to just get any more. I don't know if Anthony or Dana have any questions that they want to ask. You all have given us I think a lot of information just on the importance of Black business and entrepreneurship, but also I think the importance of the community connection and networking. How there's a history, of course, in Baltimore. We are a predominantly Black city. We are a city that people want to see themselves in all sorts of places, and I think that between all of you are finding ways to make sure that we do see ourselves in our business. Anthony, I saw your camera come on. If you want to ask anything.
I had a question a little bit more connected to the community and networking, because being one of my things that I was most passionate about when I started BRJA is who are the Black businesses, how do we support them, and talking about the journey being, of course, rougher for Black entrepreneurs. I'm hearing things from restaurant owners and talking about how health inspectors are harder on them. Hearing about code violations, there's all these things that we hear that we know potentially could discourage us from wanting to be entrepreneurs and make us feel isolated in being able to navigate this. Like, I don't know about this code, or I didn't know about like this tax thing. So like, how do you, I hear the part of the network of asking people, but also like, once you're there, how did you find who your network is to be like, hey, I'm going through this struggle, and have you been through this before? Or I just need encouraging words. How do you figure out who is your circle of other entrepreneurs in doing this work?
I just kind of fall into it. Anthony, you know Herb.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to Herb. When it comes down to the paperwork that LaKisha was talking about and everything, I honestly, I'm overwhelmed. I have this big picture, and so it's very difficult for me to focus on this tax paper or that little note or this problem or that problem. I pay bills, and I make sure everything is running, and I deal with the bigger picture. And Herb handles all of the administrative stuff. I get the people in, and you know, there's an issue where I've heard people say, well, you shouldn't let anybody know you're the landlord. Yes, I am gonna let people know I'm the landlord. Not because I'm tripping or being a big boss or whatever. I don't even like being called the landlord. But I want to know what energy is coming into our space. And because of that, I'm gonna interview and approve or decline absolutely anybody who comes in, because again, not all, you know, if you belong, not all energy is welcome. Not all money is good. And so it's just, it's expanding your circle, and it's having conversations. And then when I even do events like this, then people will call me and ask, and we'll talk, and we'll say, and then people volunteer, or they want to get involved, or they want to help. They want to help with the Black Wall Street. And then they can do things that I don't know. And they can offer help and services that I never even thought about. So I welcome that conversation.
And I like what you said too, because it also touches at I think that before we're like, we can step in and have our own business, I have to know how to do all the things and be good at all the things. And from what I heard you say, is like, I'm the visionary. I can bring the people in, and I need somebody to do this part, and I can bring more people on my team to do this piece. And I think oftentimes, because again, we do not have the same generational wealth, or have not been business owners as long as our white counterparts have, then there's this narrative that we've got that you have to be the master of all the things, of the finances, of the vision, of the all of that. And I love you talking about like, here's how I have a team and networks of folks that I go to, because I can't do all the stuff. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
And honest about it. And honest about the fact that like, I can't do everything, and therefore there's someone else who can. I think that sometimes, not just in business, but one of the things that happens in America is a very individualistic idea of how we prosper, and whether it be business owners or getting your education. And that there's a middle, you know, I did this on my own, when in actuality is what you're doing with other people. And so I think you sharing that story and making these connections with each other, even on this event, shows the importance of, you know, the wealth is in the community, and it's important for us to use that wealth, you know, with each other, support each other, and things that we're bringing to the table. So I want to thank you all for that. LaKisha, did you want to add anything before we start going through you all slides about your businesses and organizations?
No, exactly. What Jacqui said, what I had to learn, or I'm learning, is that when you start making money, it's better to put money to the side so that you can have eventually pay for an accountant that you can pay on a regular basis. Because in this year, like, I can't afford that, I can't do that, but it's going to help you in the long run. So decisions like that are important to help you in the long run. So definitely the accountant, when I know I'm not good with paperwork, I thought I was, so now I have to go ahead and I have to put money to the side, and I have to go into the 2023. I have to have an accountant. I have to go ahead and pay an accountant to help me with things that come up because I'm not good at that. And I like I thought I had to be good at it and be able to manage everything. But you don't have to. It's okay to pull in help or ask. Use your network. Definitely use your network.
Absolutely.
And just because I have an accountant doesn't mean that I don't still have my work to do.
Right. Yeah.
Like he says, okay, collect your receipts. Okay, I've been collecting my receipts, but instead of having a whole big bag or a whole big pile of receipts, I now have an accordion folder. And I used to put them in my receipts in order according to the month. But see, now I put my receipts in order according to the category. So when I go to chart them, to put them on that spreadsheet and to total everything up, they're all gas receipts. They're all meal receipts, business lunches. When they're all gas and electric receipts, things like this. So it's a lot easier, so I can be a lot more productive and faster in getting him the information that he needs to be able to help me.
Those are great tips.
Absolutely. I want to thank you both and for everyone, because I think, like I said, like I doubt that I would necessarily become a business owner. You never know, but I certainly am inspired by your drive and your passion, and how you're able to do the work that you're doing and bringing other people in, while also I think being intentional with causes that impact our community in different levels. So whether it be discussing like sickle cell or working with youth, that is such important work. And I think that being able to see that connection, and for our young folks to see that connection is important. That it's not just about making the money and making an impact, but like really also sharing that wealth and sharing that knowledge. That is a really beautiful thing. I'm going to ask Dana to start to share our slides. So on our slide here for LaCentric Jewelry and Accessories, you can learn more about LaCentric on IG at LaCentric Jewelry or on Facebook. So make sure you check LaKisha's beautiful accessories out, whether it be earrings and other kind of jewelry. Oh, do you actually have those purple earrings? Because I was looking at the picture.
Yeah, they're like a navy. They're like a navyish purple blue. They're like the ones that are next to the rainbow color ones.
The ones near the Y in jewelry.
The pop-up is covering. Let me move the ones near the Y. Yes, I do have those still. I may have a bracelet to match, but I do have those.
You're trying to get me to get the whole set. Come on now. But it looks really gorgeous to me. So I'm having a lot of ideas for outfits. So please make sure you are supporting LaCentric Jewelry and Accessories. Go to our next slide. No problem.
You have to come to our Black Wall Street event.
Yes, we'll talk.
Look at y'all already.
We'll be talking.
Nikia had to leave, but she is the founder and creator of NKVSKIN. Love the skin you're in. So this is her mission and her motto was created to provide healthy and effective skincare products and services to improve the appearance of skin and enhance the overall health and wellness lifestyles of our clients by example and education. Their motto is wellness, beauty, and community. And so you can definitely find them on IG, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on TikTok. And as someone who does not have a TikTok, I would join, because usually folks who are doing skincare stuff, a lot of good free tips there. Just shouting that out. So please make sure you support NKVSKIN, as well as trying to go get a facial or whatever else you want to get done. But definitely support them on social media and try to actually go to her wonderful brick and mortar store. For our next slide, Mia Carr was unable to join us today. However, I do want to make sure that I gave her a shout out. She is the owner of Bourbon and Chocolate. They're a small artisan bakery located outside of DC, and they offer delicious baked goods to their customers. So those are some pictures of her delectable treats. You can go to her website at bourbonandchocolate.store, or you can find her on Facebook and on IG at bourbonchocolate.store. She did offer a special discount code. You can use code BRJA13 to receive 13% off your order. So one-time use, so use it wisely, and it will expire on January 13th, 2023. So thank you, Nia, for sharing, and I'm looking forward to buying some kind of treats because I'm about to go on break, and that chocolate cookie is looking great for when I'm doing my Netflix streaming. And so for our last slide, have what's the little picture go? There was a picture there. I am so sorry. Black Wall Street of Baltimore, and I did not do well in French, but it was Notre Maison Connects. Did I say it correctly? And they're on IG as BWS _ on 25th Street, and their website is nmconnects.org. Jacqui shared a lot about what Black Wall Street of Baltimore and the Connecting organization does, not just for Black businesses, but also for youth in our community. And I don't know if you've ever driven past 25th Street when there's like some kind of Black Wall Street event going on, but they get it's down and popping, y'all. So if you're able to support any of these organizations, whether it be this month, but also definitely as we go into 2023, please do so. And we are looking forward as BRJA to definitely support and hopefully, you know, get out there and make sure we're splitting our money and our time and our spaces around you all's organizations and businesses. I want to thank you all once again for stopping by and speaking and networking on our December 13th event. We do have an event coming up in January, January 13th. I'm forgetting what day that is, but please make sure you follow BRJA on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and go onto our website where you can learn more about our past events, you know, services that we offer, as well as our YouTube channel to see this and other events that we have posted. My name is Julia Scott, and I want to hope you all have a lovely holiday,
Yes,
a lovely break. We all deserve some sleep coming up, and so I want to thank you once again for joining us for our 13th of the month. Thanks.
Thank you. Everybody take care.
Having us.